So, Amnesty International is accusing European governments of knowingly exposing thousands of refugees to torture and abuse as they try to curb migration. In this report published on Tuesday, the rights group says the EU's policy of containment shows little care for those trapped in Libya. The full story with Imtiaz Tayyab.
These images sparked outrage around the world. African migrants at risk of being sold at auction in Libya. The accusation of modern-day slavery triggered international concern and EU pledges to address the issue. But in a report by the human rights group Amnesty International, European governments are accused of not only being aware of these abuses, but also actively supporting Libyan authorities in stopping sea crossings and preventing refugees and migrants from leaving.
What we have in Libya is really a hellhole. It's hell on earth. It's a lawless country to start with, and refugees and migrants are treated like a commodity. We heard about the parent slave auction just a week or two ago, and here we are. So essentially, any migrant or refugee is pretty much criminalized.
Italy has been singled out for criticism. It's accused of leading EU efforts to fund Libyan detention camps, train Libyan coast guards to intercept ships carrying refugees and migrants, as well as encouraging Libyan tribes and armed groups to work as border guards. Amnesty also found those prevented from leaving Libya face arbitrary detention, torture, forced labor, extortion, and death at the hands of the authorities, traffickers, as well as armed groups.
No European government official can claim to be unaware of what the Libyan authorities are doing, the kind of torture, the kind of horrific suffering that people are facing inside Libya. So I think the approach of the European Union is, in order to protect their own borders, they are ready to push people back at any cost and not respect even the basic rights of human beings.
Libya is the main transit point for refugees and migrants trying to reach Europe by sea. Nearly 500,000 people have made the dangerous crossing across the Mediterranean over the past 3 years. According to the UN's migration agency, in that time, close to 10,000 people have died while attempting to make it to Europe. Following the provision of ships, training and funding from the EU and Italy to the Libyan Coast Guard, Amnesty found the number of arrivals to Italy fell by nearly 70% between July and November compared with the same period last year. The number of refugees who die at sea has also reduced, but it's not clear what future awaits the estimated 20,000 migrants and refugees now in overcrowded and unsanitary detention centers across Libya. Imtiaz Tayyab, Al Jazeera.
We've got Stefano Torelli with us now, visiting fellow for the North Africa program at the European Council on Foreign Relations. This is a European think tank. He's joining us from Milan. I spoke to Amnesty earlier today and said that, complicity is a very, very big accusation to make. Do you agree, though, that the evidence stacks up to complicity?
Good evening. Talking about complicity is actually a very heavy accusation. We can say that Europe, and in particular the Italian government, are in part colluded or responsible for this situation in Libya. I am saying this, and why a lot of reports on the ground, such as the Amnesty International report say this, because the situation in Libya is a very, very confused and fragmented one. In this context, in order to stop and block the flows of departures that came from Libya to Italy and to Europe, the European government, and particularly the Italian government, had to do some agreements with the people that are responsible for these smuggling and trafficking. Now, given that the situation in Libya is so fragmented and confused that there is a complete overlapping of roles, and so we have a Coast Guard that are colluded with, or in some cases are responsible for smuggling activities, which in turn are run by the militias, the armed militias, which in turn have strict contact with the authorities.
Okay, so policing that, sorry to interrupt you, policing that side of things, the Libyan side of things, the illegal side of things, that's difficult. What can be done to police the European governments who are, as we now know, are complicit in this? Who needs to step in to monitor them?
Yeah, what can European Union do? It depends on what is the goal of the European Union. If the main goal is, like is the case, to just block and stop migrants and prevent them from coming to Europe and to Italy, then the situation will be the same, will remain the same, and policies aimed at collaborating with Libyan authorities will not contribute to end this situation. So what is needed to ameliorate the situation of the detention centers and the situation of migrants in Libya is an actual willingness to change the vision, to change the perception that we have on the European side about the migration issues. So as long as the European governments will just adopt security measures aimed at blocking the flows, I am afraid that the situation in Libya will remain the same.
Stefano Torelli, we thank you for your thoughts on this topic. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.